Obviously, Pittsburgh's led by their defense, been that way since the 70s. So OTAs are a great time for them to get out there, get the new guys acclimated with the defense. They have a lot of question marks. The cornerback position, the other linebacker. No one's questioning Patrick Queen. Let's just be honest. Patrick Queen will be just fine.
Welcome to Six Rings and Counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle, and joining me as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lou Willard. Lou, what's kicking?
Man, I can't call it.
It's because we don't talk about kickers on this show.
We will if they start missing.
Well, yes, we will.
As long as they keep making them, they can stay off the show.
And that's as much airtime as we're giving the kickers this week. We are going to focus, though, on something important. Well, sort of. The defensive side of the ball, specifically in OTAs.
Absolutely. Obviously, Pittsburgh's led by their defense, been that way since the 70s. So OTAs are a great time for them to get out there, get the new guys acclimated with the defense. They have a lot of question marks. The cornerback position, the other linebacker. No one's questioning Patrick Queen. Let's just be honest. Patrick Queen will be just fine. We finally have our Ryan Shazier replacement.
Yes.
If not, I'll be shocked. But the drafting of Peyton Wilson, I think is going to be huge because they're raving about the kid. I know there's no pads. We're only in helmets. Mm-hmm. It's a totally new offense they're going against every day, so that might be assisting him too as guys on the offensive line and the skill position try to figure out what they're doing as well.
Sure.
But the bottom line is he just has to play his position. He's got to learn his position just like they got to learn theirs on the other side of the ball, and they're getting rave reviews out of the young man. So if he can come through and play well beside Patrick Queen to go with those two defensive ends, and, you're seeing stuff on the front line because outside of the cornerback position, which I didn't talk about yet, we haven't talked about yet, outside of that, you got to go to D-line. Like we talked about in prior shows, the elephant not in the room at OTAs is Cam Hayward.
Yep.
No one in Pittsburgh's worried about that. It's like Tomlin came out and said, Cam has over 10,000 snaps in games.
I think he's good.
He's good. They're not worried about him. He actually said it actually helps them because he's not there taking reps from the younger guys, Benton, Neal, and all these other guys who they need to step up because you got to find out who the next wave of guys is. Cam can only go another, I think he only has another at best 2-3 years tops left in him because Father Time is undefeated.
Well, we covered this a little bit in the offensive show where the importance of OTAs overall. And I would imagine on defense, it's even more important to have these backups in, especially because as Steeler fans, we know that defense has been put through the ringer injury-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And backups at times have been hard to find, even if they do come in and play the role. It's just not there. This year, it seems like this team is full of good roster guys that can contribute every time. So in OTAs on defense now, how important is it to see these backups, like you were saying, really get out there and mix it up with first-team guys? I mean,
you can't express how important it is, actually, because when you look at it, like DeMarvin Leal and Keanu Benton, they have to have a huge year. They have to. You're playing beside Highsmith and Watt. So the odds of you getting doubled are slim and none. They're not going to get doubled a lot. But they have to come in there for Cam, too. Because one of these guys are going to be lined up with Watt. It'll be this guy, Cam, and Highsmith.
Yep.
You don't get doubled. You have to win your matchup. You have to keep Queen and Wilson free. You got to let them run. You got to be able to let Mika and Deshaun Elliott, the new safety they signed that's going to start, be able to come down in the box. Or what's really important, they're going to have to be able to stay back because our weak spot is the corner. So the front seven has to play lights out for this defense to be what they've been. No one's worried about JPJ. Porter's going to be fine over there. Somebody has to play the second corner and the third corner.
Well, a lot of the focus seems to be on that slot corner position.
Yeah.
And Josiah Scott in OTAs, from everything we're hearing, has balled out.
That's playing crazy.
That's where he was born to be. He's even said that's where I grew up playing.
Yeah.
I am a slot corner.
It's like he was like who's the guy that went to Cincinnati from Pittsburgh? Mike Hilton.
Oh yeah.
Look, you're not a number one corner.
Right.
And that's okay. You're not a head coach. You're just a defensive coordinator. And that's okay. This is what the guy plays. So if it pops, it will look great. Because they hired, we got rid of Deontay, got Dante. Okay, we got Dante to play the other corner, get the names mixed up. But we got Dante to play the other corner, so he's going to start at the 2. If this kid can step up as the 3, but guess what? You're still missing one.
Yep.
Somebody has to be able to come in and play. We have safeties. You got the safeties. You definitely got your edge, you got your linebackers. In this defense, they're linebackers, even though they line up on the edge. They're outside linebackers. Watt and Highsmith, they're linebackers. But so you got those 2, Queen and Wilson at the linebackers. Still need 2. But then you have Cam, you got Benton, and you have Leo that they're really counting on to get that done. But if you can find that lockdown slot corner, this defense really has a chance to be better than it was last year.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, you can't have your best player not playing the playoff game, but he got hurt. Friendly Fire got hurt. But somebody still has to step up and take that spot if this does happen. But in this division, we got to be strong up front or you're never going to see the playoffs. Team's just going to run the ball. Baltimore picked up Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Here come Chubb again.
Yep.
I mean, retire. Why don't them 2 just retire? You know what I mean? They're killing me. Cincinnati has a younger running game.
They gave up on running the ball.
Yeah, but, they're putting too much pressure on their quarterback. That's a whole different podcast, though. But nonetheless, these guys, if they can gel up front and get pressure on that quarterback, and you're in a division that has, I don't know, a division with 4 better quarterbacks. I mean, we could argue it, depending on how bad Watson is and how good Wilson can be. This may be the division with the best quarterbacks, but you clearly have 2 of the top 4 in Burrow and Jackson. Lamar, I mean, I guess people can argue if they want to, but they're just arguing for the sake of arguing.
Right.
But those are 2 of the top 4 quarterbacks in the league. You play them twice. You got to make them uncomfortable. You got to get their number. Seem to have Lamar's, seem to be working on Burrow because he seems to still get his off on us. You know what I mean? So we got to be able to slow that run down, pressure them, but the corners got to hold up.
And to be clear, not to speak for you, but to be clear, we're not saying you need to get Champ Bailey and Deion Sanders. No, you just need a serviceable second cornerback.
It'd be nice to get the next, they don't make those guys, but it'd be nice to get the next Joey Porter who feels like he's the best. He said he's the best cornerback in the league. Well, young man, we're going to find out. You get Jamar Chase twice. You get T. Higgins twice. Amari Cooper twice. It's not getting easier. You got A.J. Brown coming. You got a slew of receivers. CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you're going against Aaron Rodgers in a non-division game. So you're going to find out if you are the best. And look, he played very well last year. So this year, if you get a number 2 corner that really holds his own, he's going to see more action because they just can't pick on the number 2 guy.
Right.
So all the pressure's falling on this number 2 guy and the slot corner. So they have to step up, or it's going to take Mika. You don't want Mika 20 yards off the ball. He needs to be in the mix. That's why people, he didn't have a great year last year. No, he had to be over here playing somebody else's position because the guy wasn't getting it done.
And that has been one of the most I lost my words.
Well, as a
That's
fan,
been one of the best things to come out of the OTAs so far has been Fitzpatrick and Elliott and the relationship they've developed. Because all reports have been that that side of the defensive backfield, our 2 safeties, are balling out.
Are on point. And the good thing is because it's a new receiving core. They had 6 or 7 receivers on the team last year. 2 are back, Austin and Pickens.
Yep.
So Minka should have them, but Elliott's new. JPJ is going against Pickens every day. So these other corners are new as well. So it's good competition going both ways. And what they say, iron sharpens iron. So the competition is good, and somebody's going to rise to the top.
If you're putting on your coach's hat right now, because you said they got JPJ going against Pickens every single day.
Yep.
Which is good. That helps them both out.
Oh, yeah.
Does it help you out, and does it help the team out overall, especially right now, to put your potential second cornerback on Pickens?
It will work out like that in drills.
Okay.
In drills, it works out like that. When they go 11 on 11 or 7 on 7, it's the best on the best.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Bengals aren't going to line up like JPJ doesn't get the lineup off of Jamar Chase.
Right.
Or Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb. You don't get a break. Every play they out there, you got to be out there. You don't get a break in practice. You know what I mean? Unless they, every now and then if he doesn't get Jamar Chase, he gets T. Higgins.
Right.
You know, so you might let the backup cornerback, man, find your own way in drills. You get better. You know, if Roman Wilson and these guys are good enough, the third round draft pick, if they're good enough, they'll push that second corner. And the second corner is coming from Carolina. He's seen Drake London and all these guys. And another one that JPJ get right out the gate is London with a new quarterback. So he's going to find out, but they've played enough. The backup cornerbacks played enough. The slot guy, you're not seeing the best receiver anyway. Or he wouldn't be the slot receiver. He'd be the one receiver.
I'm taking a little left turn here, and I'll get back because I do want to talk about Wilson and his impact in camp again. But does JPJ have the ability to follow these guys around the field, or is that cornerback dead? Is it stick to the right side of the field and whoever's over there, you guard him?
First off, that depends on who you're playing for.
Sure.
Some teams never move, like Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
He didn't move, but that's who he played for.
Right.
Some teams, Jets, Sauce Gardner, wherever you go, he's going. How good are you? And another one, great matchup every day I would love to see in practice, Hillman and Garrett Wilson. I would love to see that every day. But, so it all depends on who you're playing. And the good coaches will adjust to what they have. So Pittsburgh, they have a very smart coaching staff. Tomlin is no dummy. If he knows that JPJ needs to follow Chase or Higgins is getting off, they might switch him up. But when you go play these teams, he's going against their best receiver, as he should. Oh, yeah. Because guess what? When his contract up, what's he going to want? He's going to want to be he's going to be the highest paid corner in the league. And if he has played very well against all these guys for 4 years, then he should be. Then he should be. And there's money there to work it out. If Detroit can pay all these people, everybody can. Yes. Cincinnati paid T. Higgins. You know, I mean,
for real.
I mean, I hate to see y'all do it because then he's stuck there. Then we got to deal with this twice a year. But nonetheless, pay that man. But you can move these guys anywhere you want. The NFL defense is not so complicated. Sometimes they're playing zone while this half is playing man.
Right.
It didn't used to be that way. Back when I played back in the leather helmet days, you played zone or man. That's it. Cover 2, cover 3, cover 1. Now they got cover 0, which used to be cover 1. They got all this other stuff flying around. Linebackers or defensive ends. And I said, oh, man, I'm retiring and doing the podcast. Get my knee replaced.
What was it like competing against Franco Harris?
I don't know. He was my backup.
Boom.
Yeah.
You just threw that down.
Don't come off nobody's bench.
Moving on to Patrick Wilson, who is probably not coming off anybody's bench either anytime soon.
No, he's going to get the shot.
His speed is impressive. It was impressive in college. It's impressing in OTAs. Any of the injury concerns, it seems, have fallen off to the point where he's no different than any other player. Yeah, he has no exceeding injury concern.
Yeah.
What they are saying, though, coming out of camp is he is in the right spot every single time.
Yep.
Talk to us about that a little bit, because I think a lot of people out there think the guys like Jamie Collins, if you remember him. He was drafted by the Patriots, went to the Browns, had a great athletic ability, but he did his own thing. Chase Young, an Ohio State player. We love Buckeyes on this show. But part of the word out of Washington was he would do his own thing. He wasn't in the right spot at any time. How important is it and how good of a sign is it that Patrick Wilson, as a rookie, who is fast and can flash around that field, is just doing his job?
There's two things that go to that. Number one, football is the ultimate team sport. Mm-hmm. You have to do your job because the other 10 guys are doing theirs. Right. If you just decide to go over here and be cavalier, this over here is wide open. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you from an offensive side of the ball for sure, because that's what I played. There's plays every play. There's guys not designed to be blocked.
Right.
Because we don't need to block them if everybody doing what they're supposed to do. If he catch you, you go to the bench and sit down. We get a guy that he won't catch because you just leave him unblocked. It's the same thing on defense. You have to know where you're going to be or the offense is going to find that opening, especially against these good quarterbacks in the league now. Try that against Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
He is going to, he running. That's not what we saw on film. He's doing his own thing. We got him. We'll run reverses back at him. We'll run crossing routes back where he's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So the fact that is where he is, the other guys can count on him. Because if he get out in the wrong spot, Cam Hayward going to tell him first. Mm-hmm. Minka going to tell him second. Water get him third, and then here come Tomlin. And that's probably the last person you want to come and tell you that you in the wrong spot. Because he's the one that can say, turn your iPad in. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest benefit of it. But from a player standpoint, an individual player standpoint, he's already blazing fast, right? Mm-hmm. Now imagine just being in the right spot. You're that much faster because you don't have to go as far where you're supposed to be already. So when the ball comes your way, you're not, believe it or not, in NFL, and I wasn't fortunate enough to play it, but I did play college, high-level college. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you from that perspective, being here when you're supposed to be 3 yards there, you'll never touch that guy, depending on who you're playing with or against. You'll never touch him. And you'll just miss him. You'll dive, you'll miss him. He's gone. You're supposed to have been 3 yards this way. Or when you step that way, you allowed the guard to get leverage on you to hook you. So now you can't get outside. But if you're here and you see the guard coming to push, you can keep that outside arm free and keep your leverage on him, and get outside, stop the play. So you're just helping yourself out from an individual standpoint, but your teammates have to be able to count on you to be in the right spot, or you can't be on the field.
Yeah.
This defenses and stuff are so complicated. Everything is crazy how complicated it is when you hear them call them. And as the offense is changing the play at the line, the defense is changing the defense. They're yelling out new defenses. They just went from zone to man, for example. Mm-hmm. They just went from a blitz to everybody falling back based on what this quarterback up here yelling. Or they went from laying back to going all out on the blitz. It's all a game of chess. So there is no freelancing. I think those days are Troy Polamalu days.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see that much, but I don't even know if they wanted him to do it. He just never missed.
Right.
So if you're going to do it, I suggest you make a play 90% of the time, or they're going to cut that off.
Fair enough. What are you looking forward to let me rephrase this. What are you looking at as we move forward through training camp on this defense, other than cornerback?
Defensive line. Benton and Liao, or however you say it, they have to show some serious promise against James Daniels, the center, and I call him Isaac. I mess his last name up too. There ain't no Smiths and Willards on the team. You know what I mean? But no, they have to show up, and they have to be able to hold up against Najee and Jalen Warren and Patterson. And I know they signed a couple other guys, some more practice bodies in the backfield that they probably make the roster. They probably won't make the roster, but they'll make the practice squad. But those guys have to hold their own in the middle. They have to, because Steelers don't do a lot of, if you notice, they don't go practice against other teams. Mm-hmm. A lot of the other teams do. Pittsburgh's not a team that traditionally does that.
Right. So
you got to get all your iron sharpened in-house. You know what I mean? So if they can hold up, because Steelers have really good guards. If they can hold up against them, while making the tackles better with Watt and Highsmith being out there pressuring the tackles as well, this team has a legitimate chance. Because I don't see Russell falling on his face or Fields falling on his face if he comes in. I think they're both in a more solid coaching situation, and they both chose to come here, even though Justin Fields was traded. He asked them to trade him to Pittsburgh, and for some reason they did. They did him a solid, I guess. Guess that still exists every now and then in football, which shocked me. But that's the biggest position I'm looking for, is who can hold up in the middle. Because, again, here come Lamar and Derrick Henry. We know what they're going to do. They don't hide it. They haven't hidden it since Lamar been there. They're running the ball at you. Unless it gets to the AFC Championship game where they forget and run 16 times and lose. But that's a whole different podcast.
Last question for you as we wrap up here. Reports are starting to come out about Patrick Queen. Mm-hmm. And, of course, go back and watch our last show to see what we think about off-season stories around this time of year. But they're not favorable. He's just not what they were expecting. Now, again, a lot of this is coming from non-team sources.
Yeah.
They told me, he said kind of thing. Do you put anything into this, or you just let Patrick Queen do his thing? He's going to be fine.
It's laughable because I can show you for every one of those stories where it's coming out of camp that he is showing flashes of absolute brilliance. So it just all depends on what you want to read, what perspective you want to take. Like he came out, said he took $4 to $5 million a year less. I've never heard anybody say they didn't. That really wants to be in a spot, but he did say he wanted to come here and win now. They say he's flashing some great play. Wilson's flashing great play. They look great in the middle. So all that other nonsense is it's white noise.
There you go. For Lou, I'm Corey Idle. This is Six Rings and Counting, and we will talk to you guys next week.